I want to know how long this course takes.
No, they actually, so because of some technical disturbancy, actually the classes have been not conducted. Okay, so there is a 1 week gap. So from here, from this class, it will take more 40 sessions for you. 40 sessions means by mid of March it will be completed.
So when you say 40 sessions, are you counting the sessions that you canceled?
No, that is not going to be consolidated. Okay, so these are the separate. I mean to say that actually the session classes are going to be 45 to 50 sessions, but the remaining 10 sessions which I'm going to be taking, those are the new enhancements in 1909 comparing with 1809. So 10 sessions have been added extra in the syllabus to cover more into the on-premise of 1909. So approximately it will take up to 60 sessions for me now.
Okay, I want to understand, are you going to make up for the missed sessions within that 40 sessions? I just want to understand
Okay,
that.
I'll give that. I'll give the list of all the sessions. Okay, but I cannot give the day by day today. Why? Because I'll tell you the reason. See, for example, if I give the syllabus on today, for example, today I'm going to be covering something called as what are the company code settings. Tomorrow I'll be teaching on fiscal year variant and the posting period variant. But due to some deep explanation into the fiscal year variant, maybe it will be postponed to tomorrow. Some of the topics will be postponed to tomorrow. Why? Because we have not covered the details of all the fiscal year variant in the today's class. So some part will be moved to the next class. That will be the next day. So what is happening? There will be some disturbances will be there. Means not disturbance in the postponing the classes. Means some topics are going to be covered in the next class like that. So I mean to say that the complete whatever the content which have been given, it is going to be disturbed. So what I will do here, I'll give the contents what I'm going to be covering for the next 40 classes. But don't take it as a guarantee that on the same day I'm going to be covering the topic which have been given to you.
I understand. It's just it's important for us to have a timeline. Like
No, yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know, when you go to school, you know this is when my program is going to start. This is when it's going to end.
I understand, I understand.
There are some things that may happen in between. But
Okay.
as adults here, some of us have families and
I understand, madam,
to
I
plan.
understand, I
Like
understand.
right now, I can't do. I need to know, can I travel next month or should I cancel because I'll still be in
I
school,
understand.
stuff
I
like that.
understand. I'll give
So
it by just give me 2 days time. I'll schedule the complete content for the next 40 classes and I'll be providing you.
the other thing I wanted to say about the cancellations, I saw a message that was posted talking about the SAP uh, issues they were having. Like, we are all adults here. If you're having a problem, be open, okay? Let people know what's going on. You can't take people for granted like that because it's not fair. If something is going on, be open about what's going on so everybody's on the same page. Just say, okay, we can't access SAP today, so we won't have a class for that reason. You can't just put a general line and say class cancelled. Like, are we talking to kindergarteners or are we talking to grown up adults here? Transparency, honesty, so that everybody involved, the students, the teachers, the school itself, everybody is on the same page. It just shows, it's just courtesy out of respect for everybody.
I understand, totally agree with you, madam. Actually, definitely I can agree with you. But here the cancellations are not going to be done from my side. Actually, I'm only the faculty here. I'm teaching the course content, so they have been recruited me as a faculty for this particular institution. So I will be available for whatever the timelines which have been given to you. So definitely I need to stick adhere to the timelines. See, if something, whatever the plan lists, which I'm going to be taken into consideration, I'm going to be posted in the blog before the priority, means 10 days before only. I'm updating in the blog that, okay, these are the plan lists which no, I'm as a faculty, I will not be available on the so and so date. So that will be heads up for you for the first, I mean to say the before the 10 days. That is what exactly I will do for all the classes. But
Okay.
the sudden surprises which are going to be taken, like okay, so before the level, okay, 11th hour, the cash is going to be cancelled, something like that. That is not happening from my side actually. So there are some technical issues, maybe from the support team, maybe server is not available, something like, okay, so what is happening? There will be some net connected disconnection, means what there will be some technical issues from the institution side. So those I cannot take into consideration immediately. So that
No, no, I understand that. All I'm saying is we need explanations, not just
No. I
no class
definitely,
today. So
definitely,
between
madam.
yourself and the school, you guys need to
I
find a
understand,
way to
madam. I completely,
communicate to your students because
exactly.
we are your students. It's not your fault, but
I understand.
you
I
are our.
completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Okay, so
Thank you.
definitely,
Sorry.
no, madam. Thanks for putting on to me. Definitely, I'll take it to the Zerantech and make sure that okay, so this is not going to be happen for the next classes. And for your information, actually, for all of you information, actually, there is a problem from my side also. Actually, I thought of coming out from this training. Actually, I'm be fully engaged in my office atmosphere. I mean to say that in the office hours, I'm stretching my legs up to 17 to 18 hours in my office only. Completely. Out of 24, I'm sitting in my office for 16 to 17 hours. So I don't have enough sleep also. I thought of taking out these classes. I want to give to another faculty. Actually, that is what exactly I decided in the last week of December because of health issues, something like for me. So then Zeratech came to okay, then all the people, all the students have came me to and told that okay, yeah, Rahul, you cannot do like this because we have joined because of you. So why can't you take continuation of the classes and make sure that okay, these classes are going to be done properly with your guidance only. So we cannot stick for other faculties like that. Then I myself has been recovered very fastly and so something like okay, whatever maybe. So then I'm taking the classes. So
No,
the
Mahesh, we understand, if there is a health issue, we all understand,
yeah,
problem. But it's not about that. Like, when they cancel the classes like 2 hours
understand
before,
exactly.
they know that the entire week the class is not going to happen. If they
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
listen and let us know that, okay, due to
Definitely, madam. Definitely. And
maybe
from this today onwards, I make sure that there will be no single class is going to be cancelled if from my side or from the Zerantech. I'll take it as initiative. I'll stand in front of you. Don't worry about that.
okay, thank you.
I'll promise that if any cancellations are going on, for example, from my health issue, I priority, okay, so a prior information will be given, or if there is any health issue, I will log in and I will tell you, okay, so that I definitely, I'll get log into the session and I'll tell and I'll cancel the cancel. Okay, don't worry.
I mean, Mahesh, you don't need to do that if you're not well, but just giving an advance
No, no,
notice,
no.
like not an hour before,
I
then
understand, man.
I
I
change my plan and then all of a sudden I
no,
have no plan.
no. This cannot be. I take because if I'm standing in your shoe, I can really understand the pain what you're going to be taking, madam. Definitely. Don't worry about that. Okay. So until I'm Mahesh is going to be added to you, so don't worry about the classes. So we are going to be on the track. Okay. So from next 1 hour, so we are going to be all the things are going to be set. Okay. Thank you very much.
And one
Definitely.
last thing before you start. So I know a couple of students had said that, there have been cancellation and we are running behind the schedule and everything. So we do understand that, but I want to make sure that that will not be a reason why you would go too fast. Because remember,
No,
they are
no, 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 no.
we
You can
we are
don't worry
so
about it. Don't worry
something
about it.
that is very easy for them is
Uh,
not that
I
easy for us.
understand. No. Don't worry about that. And if, what we'll do, madam? Okay, so what every with the acceptance of everybody, what we'll do? We will take a classes on Saturday also, if possible for all of you. Okay, I'll continue the classes. So every week we are having about 4 days in a say 4 days in a week. So I will extend one more day for the next 2 to 3 weeks, so that some classes are going to be out. I am not going to be rushing the classes. I'll be 640 to 50 speed only. I make every because I want everybody to make understand about what exactly we are discussing in the class. Never. Okay, Rahul will not be fast more than 30 to 40 hours per day. Okay, I mean, it is per kilometer. So definitely, that is not going to be the reason. So we'll extend one day in a week so that we are going to be covering the whatever the classes we have been missed out. Okay. So last classes we have discussed about okay the concept of setting the currencies and the conversion rates and everything we are going to be setting, and on Friday we are going to be having assignment, okay, till whatever the syllabus we have been completed. The assignment will be on Friday, this Friday. I'll preparing the assignment list. Okay, now and the currency conversion settings are going to be made at the company code level. So very, very important here is nothing but, okay, so just I'll recollect everything, and so that it will be easy. Now, whenever you are doing a currency conversion at the global level, as I told you, the global level is nothing but it is not specific to one company code. So there are 30, 40 company codes are there in our SAP. So in the same client, when I call it as a client, okay, so our client is going to be the 400. So there are 30 to 40 company codes are there. So when you're setting a currency setting, when you're setting the global level, means it is going to be for all the company codes. It is not specifically for one company code. So when you're taking the 10 as a local currency, when you are setting it as a global level, now I'm going to be taking it as a 00. 00 is called as a document currency. Always if 00 is going to be called as a document currency. So just go, okay, these are the two settings we have been done in the previous class. Now I'll come to the concept of ledger. A very, very important topic now. Very, very important topic here. All the currency settings in SAP, as we discussed in our previous class also, very, very important here. Now, earlier, if I go back to your SAP ECC, as I told you that the currency settings are made at BSEC level table. Very, very important. I'm talking in SAP. This is a certification question. Please make a note of this. This is a certification question. When you come to the SAP ECC, I'm not talking in SAP S4HANA. So in SAP, we are going to set the currency settings at the BSEC level table. That is called as, we call it as the FI. FI is nothing but a finance. So there is no concept of defining the currencies and assigning the currencies at the ledger level. Earlier, we are going to be setting all the currencies at the company code level. Company code is called as the legal entity. Now, in SAP S4HANA, when you're coming to the SAP S4HANA, all the currency settings are going to be called as central currency configuration. Please make a note of this. Central currency configuration. We call it as the central currency configuration. Why? Why we call it as the central currency configuration means, I'll give the definition now. I'm going to be giving the definition. Okay, why in SAP we call it as the central currency configuration? So what is the difference is there between the SAP ECC to SAP S4HANA? When you go back to your SAP ECC, when we go back to your SAP ECC, so we have the FI, finance, and we have the asset accounting, and we have the material ledger, and we have the COPA. I'll tell you what is a COPA. COPA is going to be called as controlling profitability analysis. And apart from that, we have one more component which is called as the management accounting. We normally call it as the controlling. So these are the 5 components. We can call them as the 5 components. FI is nothing but a GL. Asset accounting is treated with the fixed asset accounting. Material ledger is mainly used for the valuation for the materials, and COPA is mainly used for internal reporting for the profitability analysis, and controlling is mainly for the cost accounting. So if you go back to your previous, in your SAP ECC, we are defining the currencies at FI level. Very, very important. So in FI, only 3 currencies are supported. One is called as the first currency, second currency, and one more is going to be called as additional currency. We call it as the additional currency, or we call it as the third currency. In SAP FI, FI is nothing but a GL. Please make a note of this. FI is nothing but a GL. So it is not a central currency configuration. We are going to set these 3 currencies at a company code level. As I told you that all the currencies are going to be set at a company code level. When you come to the asset accounting also, so whatever the settings you have made at the company code, the same currencies are going to be repeated for asset. So asset accounting also support 3 currencies. First currency, second currency, and we have one more currency. It is going to be the third currency. Asset accounting. I'm talking especially from the asset accounting point of view. When you come to the material ledger is the concept where you are going to be evaluating the material in different currencies, actually. So here also, same. Very, very important. Very, very, very. These all are going to be controlled at the financial level. So here also different currencies like this. So instead of wasting the time, so like this, each and every component wise, we are going to be defining the currency. So if I go and open the simplification list, for example, I'll open the simplification list. 1 second. I'll be opening the simplification list. Okay, in the simplification list, I'll show that what exactly we are going to be doing now. Example, I'll open one example. Okay, simplification list of 19 or 16, whatever maybe. Okay. So if I come to the concept, okay, so there is a concept called as currency setting. So here I'm going to be comparing both ECC to SAP S/4HANA. Now, very, very important topic, please. Very, very important topic. Now, where we can see the currency here. So when you come to the chapter number 13, in the same simplification list, in the financial accounting for the general ledger, there is a, okay, 13.4 currencies in universal general. Now, when I go into this earlier, how it is going to look like, this is what exactly the concept of portion here. See here. Now, this is what exactly, okay? So BSIC and asset accounting. BSIC is nothing but your general ledger accounting. BSIC is the table we are going to be using as a line item level table for the general ledger, and for the asset accounting, we have three currencies. First one is the 10 currency type 10. Currency type 10 is called as a company code currency, group currency. Third one is going to be called as 40. 40 is nothing but hard currency. And the material ledger also three currencies are going to be supported, but except controlling. Controlling will be only supported up to two currencies only. Whereas your material ledger, GL and the fixed asset accounting will be supported up to three currencies. But now the controlling, when you come to the controlling is only supported up to two currencies. Either it can be the 10 or it can be the group currency. Earlier, we have one more currency type for the controlling. Okay, we have one more currency type for the controlling. Earlier means in SAP ECC, totally, first currency, we can take it as a 10, and the second currency, either you can take 30 or 20 is there. Earlier, we have it called as 20. 20 is called as a controlling area currency. Normally, very, very important, my dear friends. Please make a note of this. Okay, I'm going to be repeating. 10 is called as company code currency. 30 is called as a group currency. Once again, I'm repeating, group currency. And we have one more currency, we call it as 40. 40 is going to be called as hard currency. And 50 is there. 50 is going to be called as index-based currency. And we have 60. 60 is going to be called as company global currency. Company global currency. We call it as a company global currency. And we have 20. 20 is going to be called as controlling area currency. Normally we call it as a controlling area currency. So these are all the currency types I can see here. When I come to the currency type, here there is an option called as the currency types. Now in SAP S/4, now what currency types are going to be available? Okay, now why we are going to be calling it as the central currency configuration? Why we is going to be called as? So these all are going to be called as now the new currency types which are going to be available. New currency types means earlier also it is there, but now we are going to be defining all these currency types and defining these currency types at the ledger and the combination of company code. Earlier it was at the company code level only. Earlier means in SAP ECC, it is at the company code level and it is at the controlling area level. Now in SAP S/4HANA, we call it as the central currency configuration. Why? Because now today we have only one table. Today we have only one table. The table we call it as a universal journal entry table. Today we have only one table. That table name is going to be called as Universal General Entry Table. We call it as the AC DOCA table. Now, all the postings related to the GL will be updated to the same table. Asset accounting transactions will be updated to the same table. COPA transactions will be updated to the same table. And we have the concept of material ledger. Material ledger postings will be updated to the same table. And we have one more called as asset accounting. Okay, so totally 5 components. Now, this is the GL postings. GL. Here we have the asset accounting. And here we have the COPA. Very, very important. And here we have the material ledger. ML is nothing but the material ledger. And here we have the concept of controlling. So totally there are 5 components are there. Earlier in SAP ECC, we are defining the currency settings and each and every component level. Now in SAP S4HANA, we have only one universal general entry table. All the postings related to the GL will be updated to the same table. Asset accounting postings are updated to the same table. Co-part transactions are updating to the same table, like material ledger and controlling transactions are going to be updating at the same table. Now in SAP, what we are going to be defining, so instead of defining the currencies, each and every component level like this, now this setting is completely eliminated. Now, don't require. Now we call it as the central currency configuration. So all the currency settings are made at the universal general entry table at the combination of, very, very important, at the combination of ledger and company code. Please make a note. This is a certification question, please, all of you. Central currency configuration settings are made at what level? Ledger and the company code level. Very, very important. Earlier, it was only at the company code level. Earlier means in SAP ECC. Let me open the SAP ECC now. This is my SAP ECC. Now I'm logging to the SAP ECC. So this is my SAP ECC. When I go into the SAP ECC, we are going to be setting the currency settings over here like this: SPRO, IMG. And when I come to the financial accounting, and in the financial accounting, we have called it the financial accounting global settings. In the global settings here, we have called as the global parameters for the company code, or otherwise you can come to the ledger. Okay, here we are going to be defining the currencies for the leading ledger. Now here we are going to be defining the currencies like this. For example, if I take a company code, now here you can see here. Now here you can see here. Now it is at the company code level. Earlier, this is my company code. 1200 is the company code. Okay, so we can see here first currency, second currency, and the third currencies. In the GL, only three currencies. This is going to be set at the company code level. Now, in SAP S4HANA, when you come to the SAP S4HANA, we are going to be defining the currencies at the ledger, very, very important, at the ledger and at the company code level. Very, very important. Now we are going to be discussing what is the ledger here. Okay, so this is completely, we call it as a central currency configuration screen. Now we are going to be defining the ledgers and everything. Last class also we discussed something about the ledgers. Let me throw some idea on that. Okay, so what is the ledger? In SAP, we have three types of ledgers in SAP S4HANA right now. One is going to be called as the leading ledger. Please make a note of all this. Leading ledger. Second one, we call it as, okay, non-leading ledger. And third one, we have one more ledger in SAP S4HANA. We call it as extension ledger. We call it as extension ledger. These are the three different types of ledgers we have in SAP S4HANA. Earlier in SAP ECC, we have only two ledgers. One is called as the leading ledger, and another one is going to be calling it as a non-leading ledger. Now, I'm taking a one country. I'm taking a one company code. Okay, my company code is going to be called as US10. US10 is nothing but my company code. Okay, right. Company code is defined with any 4 alpha numerical value. So, what is my fiscal year? The standard fiscal year where I'm going to be using for my accounting is going to be called as Jan to December. Jan to December is my fiscal year. What is my currency? The local currency. I'm talking about the local currencies. All the reports are maintained in currency called as the USD. USD is going to be called as my local currency. This is the currency where I'm going to be assigned to my company code. So I can call it as a currency type 10, which is going to be assigned. So I'm going to be using the company code called as the US10. So according to my US accounting standard, so all the reports has to be maintained in accounting in the reporting standard called as IFRS. So what is the reporting system which I'm going to be using for my US10? It is an IFRS. IFRS is nothing but my reporting system. So at the year-end closing activities, so I had to follow the guidelines of IFRS reporting. So this is IFRS reporting is nothing but in my SAP, we call it as the accounting principle. Please make a note. In SAP, we call it as the accounting principle. In SAP, we call it as accounting principle. Normally, apart from the SAP, we call it as my accounting standard. If it's a German, if it is a normal, okay, we call it as a accounting standard. But in SAP, the same, we call it as a accounting principle. So if I want to address my reporting in IFRS, I need one ledger. I need one ledger, please. So without the ledger, I cannot report any reporting system. So what is the ledger here? The ledger which I'm going to be using called as a leading ledger. The leading ledger is going to be defined in SAP. There is already predefined SAP leading ledger is called, we call it as the OL. OL is always called as 0L. Normally we call it as a 0L. 0L is nothing but my leading ledger. This leading ledger is going to be assigned to all the company codes. Very, very important. If I have 20 company codes are there, but here in example, I'm going to be defined only one company code. Like this, I have a 20 company codes are there in the same client. For all the company codes, the leading ledger is standardized. Means you cannot have multiple leading ledgers for each and every company code. Means one leading ledger where I'm going to be selecting it as the checkbox is there. Means if you're selecting the checkbox means you are making this OL as a leading ledger. OL as a leading ledger. So the leading ledger is already standard SAP defined. No need to create a new leading ledger for SAP. Very, very important. Please make a note. Already it is a standard SAP. We have the OL. And this leading ledger is assigned to all the company codes. Means if you have 20, 40, 50, 60, 36 company codes are there totally in my SAP. For all the 36 company codes, if you see here, this leading ledger is going to be defaulted automatically. Means we don't have any new entry option over here. We don't have any new entry option here where I can assign this leading ledger only for the selected company codes. No, please make a note of this. Leading ledger is going to be defined for all the company codes. Whereas we have one more ledger called as a non-leading ledger. Those non-leading ledgers are defined for selected company codes. So I'll come to the non-leading ledger after. First, we'll concentrate on the leading ledger. So the leading ledger is the ledger which is going to be calling it as a parent ledger. It is going to be, it will be assigned to all the company codes. First point is going to be, it will be assigned to all the company codes to address the local accounting standard reporting system. To address the local accounting standard reporting system. This is one. For example, if I have one more company code, Rahul, tell me there are 3 company codes. There is another company code, and here I have one more company code. So if I come to this company code, if I'm going to be taking this company code, this is going to be for AU10, Australia. And this company code, I'm going to be taking India, IN10. So there are totally 3 company codes are there. Now, for all the 3 company codes, I am assigning the same ledger, OL, because it is at the company code level you are going to be defining. So OL is going to be the standard leading ledger for all the company codes. But this leading ledger, which I have assigned to the US10 OL, it is for the IFRS. And the leading ledger, which I have assigned to the AU10, this is for the local GAAP, another reporting, LGAP. LGAP is a local GAAP. And this leading ledger, which I have assigned to IN10, this is for the INDAS, INDAS reporting. So these are the 3 different accounting principles actually. If you have a different accounting standard you're going to be using, you can also create a new accounting principle, and that accounting principle I can assign to my leading ledger. So the assignment is going to look like this. Okay, the assignment is going to look like leading ledger is assigned to the IFRS, and this leading ledger is going to be assigned to the local GAAP, and this leading ledger you are assigning to the INDAS. So we have 3 different reportings. So I'm going to be defined only one leading ledger, which is getting assigned to all these 3 different accounting standards. Very, 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 very important. Now, what is the purpose? Why you are assigning the leading ledger to the reporting? Why? Because all the reports for the US10 I need to maintain based on the IFRS accounting standard. All the reports for AU10 means Australia I need to maintain at the local GAAP. All the reporting systems in India, that is maintained in the INDAS. So that is the reason I need to assign every accounting principle to your leading ledger. Leading ledger is only one, but the assignment is at the company code level. Very, very important. This is very, very important. Leading ledger is only one in SAP. You cannot define multiple leading ledgers. For example, if I coming over here, already SAP is telling that we have one leading ledger. If I want to select, for example, I'm telling, for example, can I also select one more leading ledger and can I save it? Now the system is throwing an error me. What is that error? Only one ledger can be specified as a leading ledger. Very, very important here. So you cannot have multiple leading ledgers. Either you can make either you can make the leading ledger as a either you can make the OL as a leading ledger, or you remove the checkbox and you can make 2L as a leading ledger. Either any one of this should be the leading ledger. You cannot have multiple leading ledgers in SAP S4HANA or not in SAP ECC also. It cannot meet your requirements. So that is the reason we have only one standard leading ledger in SAP. We call it as the OL. Please make a note of this. We call it as the parent ledger, which we call it as a parent ledger. Now, so how do you know that? Okay, this is the leading ledger. Why? Because I'm selecting it as a check. I'm selecting the checkbox. If I see for the remaining ledgers, I have not selected any checkboxes. Means these are going to be called as non-leading ledgers. Some are going to be called as extension ledgers. The different types. But I have only one leading ledger. Now, when you come to the ledger type, and one more, I just forgot to answer. One more. Here, my fiscal year variant, which I'm going to be addressing to my leading ledger, based on the IFRS, is going to be the Jan to December. But here, when I come to my Australia, when come to the Australia, here the fiscal year variant is going to be, for example, I just don't take it to consideration. For example, I'm giving it is October to September, and the local currency, LC currency, is going to be the AUD, Australian dollars. The local currency is going to be the AUD. Now, when come to the India, the fiscal year variant is from the April to March, and here the local currency is going to be the INR. Means if you see the settings over here for all the three company codes here, US 10 the local currency is USD, for AU 10 the local currency is AUD, and for IN 10 the local currency is going to be the INR. Very, very important. Now, these are the settings I'm making at the ledger level. Very well. The ledger and the company code combination, I'm going to be defining which fiscal year variant you are using and what is the local currency you're going to be defined here. Okay. Now, how do you know? Okay. Now, this is the leading ledger. Now, what is the ledger type? Ledger type, we have two ledger types are there now in SAP S4HANA or in SAP ECC also. One is called as standard ledger. Second one is going to be called as extension ledger. One is if I drill down, if I put on the arrow and if I drill down, here we have two ledgers are there. One is called as the standard ledger and the second one we call it as the extension ledger. For all the leading ledgers and the non-leading ledgers, we'll select the ledger type as a standard ledger. But how do you differentiate between the leading ledger and the non-leading ledger? Because of selecting the checkbox. If you are not selected the checkbox, for example, if I come and see here, this example, ledger 2L, it is also called as a standard ledger, but this is not a leading ledger. We have only one leading ledger, but this is also called as the standard ledger. So leading ledgers and the non-leading ledgers are called as the standard ledger, whereas we have one more ledger type, we call it as the extension ledger. For example, if you see here J2, J3, J4, and J5, I'll tell you what is the non-leading ledger, what is the leading ledger, everything. I'll tell you the difference between what is the leading ledger, non-leading, because today we are discussing about the leading ledger. Tomorrow we are coming on to the point called as the non-leading ledger and the extension ledger, please. Okay. Excuse me. So if I see here J2, J3, J4, and J5, here I selected the ledger type as the extension ledger. These are not going to be called as the standard ledger. Neither these are going to be called as leading ledger, neither they are going to be called as a non-leading ledger. We have defined a different types of ledger which is called as a standard ledger. What is the extension ledger? We'll discuss. Tomorrow we'll discuss. So ledger type is very, very important. So for all the leading and the non-leading ledger, we select the ledger type as the standard ledger only. When you are making it as an extension ledger, very, very important. When you are going to be making it as an extension ledger, for example, if I see for these three examples, example 3, there is a one more ledger called as extension ledger here also. Okay, when you see here, these all are going to be called as extension ledgers. So there are different types. What is the purpose of using the extension ledger will be on different types. Okay, so extension ledgers are going to be used for the regrouping purpose, for the consolidation purpose. Like, okay, we have various options are there why we had to use the extension ledger actually. So we'll discuss more into the extension ledger. Please don't worry about that. But when I come to the extension ledger, OC, OE, 2E, J1, J2, J3, J4, J5 here, I selected all these ledger types as the extension ledger, and here, what type you are going, what is the purpose you are using for this extension ledger? These are the different types are there here. You can see here. So I'll tell you, every point is going to be the important for us. Every point is going to be the important. I'll tell you the difference between the ECC 1809 to 1919. Now, this is the 1919 system which I'm going to be showing. 1919. This is the latest one. Let me log into 1819 also now. I'll go to the 1819. See here. See the difference here. So I'm logging to the 1819. See, this is the 1819 system. And I will also show 1919. What are the differences there between the 1719 to 1819, 1819 to 1919? Let me first log into the 1819. This is my 1819 system. This is the previous one, previous year release on premise. This is the previous release, okay? So this is the previous release, 1809. So I'll go to the same path, SPRO, IMG, and I'll come to the same financial accounting, global settings. I'll come to the ledger. Same path. I'm not going to be using different ones, sir. I'm not going to be using different ones. Same path, I'll come and show here like this, okay? We'll discuss more into the CDS views. What are the CDS views? We call it the core data services. Technically, we'll discuss more into this one also. I'll give some more information on that. Now, this is the 1819 system. And here also, if you see here, OL is going to be the standard ledger. Here also, we can see here, OL is going to be called as the standard ledger. So here also, okay, there are two types of ledgers are there, standard ledger and the extension ledger. But when I go to the extension ledger, for example, when I go to the extension ledger, example, this is the A4. A4 is nothing but my extension ledger. Why? Because if you see here, I selected the ledger type as extension, but here the ledger type extension, here if you see here, earlier, this is the difference. This is the extension ledger types we are going to be using in 1819. But when I come to the 1919, this is the 1919. Here you can see here there are different types are there. Means there are some changes. There are some changes have been happened between the 1819 and the 1919 also. Okay, so I'll discuss both options. In the 1819, if you see here, these extension ledgers we are going to be using for the simulation, for the prediction and the commitments, and for the valuation. For the different simulation is for the foreign currency valuations, prediction and the commitments is nothing but base. So I can use one extension ledger. I will create a one sales order. I can predict how much revenue I will get when the goods have been sold to the customer at the sales order level only. Prediction. Based on the sales order level, I can predict, okay, this much of revenue I'm going to be expecting. So the revenue will go and hit to this extension ledger. And valuation, what foreign currency valuations I'm going to be using. So earlier we are going to be using the extension ledger for the different purposes like this. And today also we are going to be using, but now in SAP S4HANA in 1909, I'm talking in 1909. So now we don't have these options actually. But but we are going to serve the purpose for the valuation, simulation, and the prediction, everything. But now when you come to the SAP S4HANA 1909, we have given with the different options called as like this. Standard journal entries, line item with the technical number and the deletion is possible. Line items with the technical numbers with no deletion is possible. Journal entries for the valuation differences. Valuation differences means foreign currency valuation differences. General currency. So this is what exactly we can see. But don't worry, we have two classes on the extension ledger. In the two classes, I'm going to discuss each and every point in a detail between the between the 1809 to 1909. What are the differences are there? Because it will take two classes for me.
So Mahesh, quick question. So would you also explain like for what journal entries we would be using like the OL ledger, and for what we will need?
Exactly, that is what exactly my classes are going to be from that. Okay, definitely, because this is only the configuration which I'm going to be explaining. But in the once you do the configuration, when I'm doing the postings of any transactions, how this leading ledger is getting updated, how these non-leading ledgers are updated, how these extension ledgers are getting updated, definitely I have to show everything. Clear, madam? Your answer is, you got your answer?
Yeah, so what you're saying is you will explain when we do the
definitely 100% that is going to be done. Okay, now so I'm parking the extension ledger for a meanwhile. Why? Because as I told you that we need a special attention for this extension ledger. So today and tomorrow we are discussing on the ledger type for the leading ledger and the non-leading ledger. So the extension ledger I'm going to be parking for a while. Why? Because it has to be taken special care. Why the extension ledger is going to be created? What is the purpose? We have to have two classes. So I'll tell you. So when you come here, these are the three types of ledger. One is the leading ledger, always will be called as OL, and we can have the non-leading ledger with the same standard ledger, and we have one more ledger, we call it as the extension ledger. These three ledgers are going to be called as SAP S4HANA ledgers. Now, in SAP S4HANA, whenever you're defining any currencies, whenever I define any currency, the currencies are defined. Very important now. Why? Because we are talking the concept called as universal journal entry table. Here we are talking the concept called as universal journal entry table. Means all the ledgers are getting updated to which table? All the ledgers are getting updated to the ACDOCA table. Now we have only one table for the line item. Okay, the GL postings are updated to the same table. Okay, so when you take a company code called as the US 10, example I'm taking US 10, and for US 10 I have assigned how many? For US 10 I have assigned two ledgers. One is the non-leading ledger, another one is the leading ledger. So I'll tell you what is the purpose of non-leading ledger also. The leading ledger is going to be called as OL. And here I'm going to be taking non-leading ledger. I call it as L1. So what is the purpose of leading ledger? The purpose of leading ledger, I'm maintaining all the reports in IFRS. And the purpose of using the non-leading ledger, I'm going to be using for another gap. That is for the US gap or something like your local gap. Okay, whatever maybe. I'm creating a one more non-leading ledger to address another reporting called as US gap. And the main ledger I'm going to be using for the IFRS. Now, you have a company code. This company code is going to be defined with the two ledgers. One is the leading ledger, another one is the non-leading ledger. Now, when I do the postings, tomorrow I'm doing many accounting transactions. I'm posting the salaries, I'm posting the production expenses, I'm posting some billing, I'm posting some invoices, I'm making some payments, everything you are going to do in SAP only. So if you do any type of transactions in the GL, the document will come and store in the same table. If you are doing any asset related transaction, the document will come and store in the same table. Now, all these 5 components, actual transactions will go and hit to one table now. Only one table. Earlier, we had different tables are there. Earlier, for GL, we have a BSEC table. For controlling, we have a COEP table. Like that, we have different tables. Now, no more. All these tables have been removed and we have only one table called as ACDOCA table now. Now, what is happening? Now you are defining the currencies. Now you are defining the currencies. Very, very important. And the combination of company code and the ledger level. Very, 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 very important now. So we call this central. Now select your ledger. I'm selecting my ledger. Now go to the company code. As I told you that leading ledger is always called as the parent ledger. Leading ledger is always called as the parent ledger, and there will be only one leading ledger in SAP, which will be default assigned to all the company codes. So if you are creating a new company code in SAP, automatically I can see the leading ledger is assigned to that company code. So you cannot have any option. I don't want to have this leading ledger for another company codes. No. Yes. The leading ledger should be assigned to all the company codes. It is a defaulted. Please make a note of this. So if I double click on the company code settings for the ledger, after you select this, after you select the leading ledger, if I double click on company code settings, because I need to go and check whether the leading ledger has been assigned to my company code or not. Okay, do not make any changes in SAP. Okay, right? We are not going to do any changes. Why? Because this is very, very important here. Yes. So here it is the ledger. So here it is the ledger. You can see here it is the ledger, and I can see here for all the company code, there are total 36 company codes are there. There are total 36 company codes are there. For all the company codes, I can see the leading ledger is assigned to all the company codes. It is not for selected company codes. It is assigned to all the company codes. In my company code, where my company code is called as the 1710. If I come and see the 1710, yes, 1710 is also available, which is by default, it is assigned to the leading ledger. Very, very important. Very, 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 very important. Now, what is this currency types? From where it has been combined defaulted over here? Very, very important. Now, I'll come to the currency settings. I told it is a central currency configuration. The heading itself is calling it a central currency configuration. What is the central currency configuration now? The central currency configuration is nothing but now you're going to be making the currency settings. Very, very important. Now you're going to be making the currency settings to the ACDOCA table level, which we call it as the universal general entry table. Very, very important. Earlier, we are defining the currency settings for each and every component level as I shown you like this. Now we don't have the currency settings for each and every component level, because all the postings are getting updated to the ACDOCA table. Now you are going to do the central currency configuration for ACDOCA table from today onwards. So that is the reason we call it as the central currency configurations. Very, very important. Why? Because from tomorrow, if you are posting any transactions to the GL, it will be updated to the same table. Asset accounting transactions will be updated to the same table like that. Okay, so now if I come here, I see there are two default currencies are coming and I cannot do any kind of changes. But here, if I see this company code, only currency type 10 is there. There is no currency type 30 is there. But the remaining company codes, I see some company codes are having the same local currency is at 10 and the global currency is also 10. For some company codes, I see the local currency is at 10 and the global currency is at 30. How it is coming, from where it is coming. How you can call it as the central currency configuration. Okay, we'll discuss now. Okay, one by one. Yes. So in SAP here, you can see here, we can define up to 8 freely defined currencies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the reporting purpose. Now, when you come to the FI, when you come to the SAP ECC, we have first currency, second currency, and the third currency. First currency is always called as my local currency. Second currency is going to be one additional currency, and the third currency is one of a second additional currency. We can call it as a second additional currency. So I'll go to the SAP ECC now. This is my SAP ECC. This is your ECC server, not SAP S/4HANA server. If I see here, this is my APX is nothing but my ECC server. First currency is always called as a 10. Automatically, it is defaulted. You cannot change. Also, it has been grayed out. I'm talking in SAP ECC, not in SAP S/4HANA. It is always called as 10. For this company code, I have assigned the currency called as the euro. I can see the defaulted here. But the second currency and the third currencies are called as additional currencies. Additional currencies, where you can take the second currency type either 30, 40, or 50. You can, if you want to have the third currency, you can use any other currency. These are editable. You can see, you can edit here. But the first currency cannot be editable. So because it is always defaulted with your local currency, which is called as the company code currency. Now in SAP S4HANA, these are the two. Now in SAP ECC, these are the two additional currencies. But in SAP S4HANA, when you come to the SAP S4HANA, we have 8 freely additional currencies are there now in SAP S4HANA. 8 freely defined additional currencies. Now you can see freely defined currency 1, 2, freely defined currencies 8. I'll tell you what are this. You can take any other currency for the reporting. You can have the reportings in your local currency. You can have your reportings in your global currency. Apart from that, Mahesh, if I want to create a new currency, I want the reports in Australian dollars. I want the reports in INR. I want the reports in JPY. I want the reports in Riyadh. Yes, you can have multiple currencies. You can have the reporting systems over here. You can define the additional currencies for various reporting options over here. In SAP S4HANA, 8 freely defined currencies are going to be supported for various reportings. For example, I'll take one example. Now, I'll come to the same concept of US. I'm coming to the same concept of US. So the local currency is always called as a USD. This is what exactly we call it as a 10. 10 is called as a company code currency. And apart from that, one more currency I'm going to be assigning, which is going to be called as a group currency. I call it as a group currency. The group currency is a euro. Normally, we call it as a 30. So, yes. Now, tomorrow, during the month-end closings or something, like if my manager is asking some reports, hey, Mahesh, can you please extract the reports of US10, show me in both USD and euro, so I can get it. But apart from this too, SAP is giving you 8 freely defined currencies also. Freely defined currencies. Freely defined currencies means up to 1 to 8 currencies you can have it now. Means not only in these 2 currencies, tomorrow if you want to see the reports in various other currencies also, like I can have 8 freely defined currencies where the conversion can be happened automatically. So now I'll do one thing. Now let me take this example. Yes, I'm posting a one transaction called as rent expenses account debit to my cash or bank account. Okay, this is my transaction actually. This is what exactly my transaction. So this transaction, what I'll do here, this transaction I'm posting to a company code called as the US10. Very, very important. Now, I'm going to be coming to the 8 freely defined currencies now. I'll remove this 8 and I'll put it here like this. So I'll take FD1. I'm going to be using JPY, Japanese yen. Another FD, freely defined currency, second currency, I'm going to be taking AUD like this. And the remaining 6 I left, I'll keep it as empty. I will not update anything. Remaining 6 I'll keep it. The first one, C1, example C1. This is the C2. C1 is for, okay, very, very important. C1 is for the AUD and the C2 is for the Japanese yen. And the 10 is the USD and 30 is going to be called as my euro. Okay, now see here. So this is the C1. I'm going to be using, this is the C1. And this is the C2. And this is the C2. Now, totally, how many currencies I had defined for my company code at the ledger? Total 4. One is the local currency, group currency, freely defined first currency, JPY, Japanese, that is the C1 and the C2. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm posting all the transactions. I'm posting all the transactions in my local currency. What is my local currency here? USD. Okay, I'm updating my local currency here. When I'm posting any transactions, the transactions are always posted in my local currency, which is called as my USD. So if I come and see for the month of January 2020, for the month of January 2020, now assume that now we have completed all the period and closing activities of January. Now my management is asking, hey Mahesh, do one thing. Can I get all the reports of 2020 in various 4 currencies? Okay, now what I will do, there are a lot of transactions have posted, not only one. This is one of the example I'm just explaining. Thousands of transactions you have posted in the month of January 2020. Now my management is asking me, Mahesh, do one thing. I want to see all the rent expenses in both USD, in Euro, in Japanese yen, and in AUD. I want all the reports, please, in all the 4 different currencies. So 1 USD is equal to, so what I had to do here? Now I need to define here the exchange rates. Earlier, before you posting of any transactions, I need to define the exchange rates. Means 1 USD is equal to how many AUD? 1 USD is equal to how many Euro? 1 USD is equal to how many JPY? And these are the 3. Because anyhow, my first currency is always called as USD. First of all, you need to define the exchange rates between all these 3. 1 USD is equal to how many USD AUD? 1 USD is equal to how many euros? 1 USD is equal to how many Japanese yen? So here, when I come to the setting, when I go to the new option, accounting, I'll show. This is not a practical, just I'm making you to explain. General ledger, environment, current settings. Here I'll define all the exchange rates here. Here I'll define. So bank average. So there are 3 exchange rate types are there. There are 3 exchange rate types are there. One is going to be called as M, B, and G. Very, very important. M is called as the bank average. And B is called as bank selling. And G is going to be called as the bank buying. B is going to be called as a, G is going to be called as the bank buying. What is the average? The difference between the bank selling and the bank buying is going to be called as the bank average rate. Well, okay, so selling rate is going to be the different and the buying rate, bank buying rate will be the different actually. So the difference between the selling rate and the buying rate is going to be called as the bank average. So here, always I'll calculate based on the average only. So, M, valid from 01/01/2020 example I'm going to be taking. So what is the local currency? It is the USD to first one, Euro. First one, Euro. Second one, same exchange rate, M, from 01/01/2020, from USD to JPY, Japanese yen. Next one, M, 01/01/2020. This is not a practical, just I'm making you to, I'm explaining you the concept. That's all, please, please. Don't take. It's a AUD, like this. So 1 USD is equal to how many euros, and 1 USD is equal to how many Japanese yen, and 1 USD is equal to how many this. So I'm going to be putting the direct quotation and the indirect quotation here. Indirect quotation is nothing but converting the factor from the local currency to foreign currency. We will put it in the indirect quotation. Direct quotation is nothing but from the foreign currency to, this is the direct quotation, M, 01/01/2020, Euro to USD. This is the direct quotation. So 1 euro is equal to how many? So it is 1. So now now if we come here, the dollar value is very less than the euro. Okay, so 1 euro is equal to how many USD? Something like 1.235, something like. This is the direct quotation. This is what exactly we call it as a direct quotation. Very, very important here. This is what exactly. Indirect quotation is nothing but when you are doing the conversion from local currency, your company code currency, to any other foreign currency, that you put the rate in the 1 divided by something, whatever the value. So 0.56 something it will come. So this is what exactly you call it as an indirect quotation. Now, here I'm putting, so the valid date I taken from 01/01/2020 means for entire the month, the factor is going to be the same. Example I'm taking, but in the real time, every day we will update the exchange rates. Every day we will update the exchange rate. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, up to 31st of January. Every day we will update the rates, because the exchange rates are going to be fluctuated in the decimal, something like, okay, so today the value is 1.2356. Tomorrow the euro to USD may change. So every day we will update the exchange rates over here. The factors of exchange rates will be updated. So based on the postings, the exchange rates are going to be picked out here. Now, in this example, when I'm posting this transaction, the transaction has got posted on 01/01/2020. Now, when I see this factor here, when I posted the transaction on 01/03/2000, so 1 USD is equal to how many euros, 1 USD is equal to how many Japanese yen, 1 USD is equal to how many AUD. Already I have given all the conversion factors over here. Now, once a document has got posted, successfully the document posted. If I want to see the document, yes, now I want to see the document. So what I have to do here, I need to come to the table. SE16. If I come to the table, ACDOCA table, ECDOCA table, and if I click on table content, and now here I'm going to be seeing at the ledger wise. So I'll give the OL and which company code. It is going to be the 1710 company code. Now fiscal year is going to be the 2020 example. Now if I see here, now, there are a lot of transactions have been posted. Now, if I open the first document, just come down here. See here. Just come down here. Here in this example, I don't have any freely defined currency. For example, the freely defined C1, C2 have been updated. Now I can see the values here like this. Now here you can see the values. The company code currency is 1000 USD and the group currency is also 1000 USD. But here I don't have any exchange rates. Tomorrow, if I define the exchange rate between euro and the Japanese yen, I can see the values over here. Automatically, the values will be updated over here in the table. Definitely. So like this, I can define up to 8 freely defined currencies in my SAP for the conversion factor, not only for these 2 currencies, 8 freely defined currencies I can expect. And the currencies conversions are going to be happened in the real time. Very, very important. Why? Because if I see here, I selected the option for every currency type. I selected the option for every currency type. I selected the option called as very, very important. For every currency type here, if I come and see here, for every currency type, I selected the option called as the real-time currency conversion is going to be selected. Real-time currency conversion is going to be selected for every currency, even if it is a global level or at a company code level. These are the company code. For every currency, there is a real-time currency conversion is going to be happen in the real time in the month and closing activity. So no need to do separate foreign currency valuation in the month and automatically these all the foreign currency valuations are going to be done in the month and closing activity. So that is the beauty of SAP. So now we have called as central currency configuration setting for all the ledgers. Clear? Clear to all of you?
Yes. Hey, Mahesh, when will you share the transaction codes?
I think I already brought the transaction codes. Okay, one second. Just give me 1 day time. And tomorrow, mostly by tomorrow end of the day, it will be updated in the blog. I promise that.
Okay.
Tomorrow end of the day.
Rahul.
Sir.
Is it possible for you to go through the course content and show us what topics you covered?
That's what. Just give me 2 days time, sir. I'll share the course content and everything.
Okay, because it looks like currency, this currency codes and everything. I mean, we've been going over it a couple of times, so I'm just not sure. You know,
no. Currency course I've been given a couple of times. I understand, but today we have discussed about the new topic which we are going to be discussing about the ledger settings with the currency code combination. So I understand that for every until you complete the syllabus of this central currency configuration, definitely I need to repeat some classes on the currency course also. So we are discussing about the new topic. So this leading ledger and the non-leading ledger. So once you complete these currency settings, next time we are not going to discuss. So we are going with a new topic called the fiscal year variant and the posting period variant.
Okay. I was just kind of confused because
No. Why? Because every time I need to go to the back classes and I need to recollect everything. Why? Because so what is happening? Every class which have been done in the back, I had to coincide with my current class. So that is the reason I'm just. So once you complete these settings, definitely we are going to close this topic.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.